Right, let's get started. So what I thought, because last week we did that matching stripes, and it was nice and easy, but it's actually something I needed to cover. So this week I thought, well, why don't we put a zipper in? And I thought, if we're going to put a zipper in, we might as well make a small bag for my decluttering. So, so this is a small bag. Now I'm holding the button on because you just know I haven't sewn it on yet. And actually, I might put a rosette on there, something else. But it's a small bag, and I'm going to show you how I did it. So let's find a space. I need another table. And see, here I am and trying to add things when I'm trying to get rid of things. Right. So for this project, I'm going to put the papers in my group, Deb Canham Serger Sanity Projects, and they'll be under the file section, and they will tell you what you need to do this. The fabric's 4.5 wide by 10.5 high, and I cut it out of the spot fabric, some warm and natural, and some lining fabric. And then I used a 12-inch or more zipper. Size 3 zipper, that's the dressmaking level, and it's plastic, okay? So, or nylon, I should say, perhaps. So that's what you will need to do this little zipper bag, and we're really just covering inserting a zipper, and then I'm just going to sew it up. But I've got a few tips for you along the way. So let me just put my instructions there so I don't go off track. So I'm going to bring in the other picture so you can see. Right, so I have a zipper. This is my front section and this is my lining. Those are my huge scissors because I didn't find my small ones. See, that's it. When I declutter, I'll be able to find everything. So this is the tape that I used last week where you stick it on and peel off the paper and it sticks to things. And I do think it makes putting in a zipper super easy. Actually, it makes a lot of things super easy. So here I have, right, wrong page. Okay. Here I have my fabric and my warm and natural, and I have just quilted that in straight lines just to get it together, but I didn't attach the lining. I do want to say that, okay? So the next thing I did was I took some of that tape and I put it across the top here. Do you see that? And I'm actually just going to pull it off. And so now I just have that sticky tape up the top here. And what I'm going to do is, so I placed it on the short edge. I should say that it's on the short edge of the bag. So I'm just going to turn my page so that I don't miss something, which I'm prone to do. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is insert the zipper. So here is my zipper. And let's have just a quick word about zippers because even if you use a nylon zipper, it's going to have a plastic, a metal tab at the beginning and either side of the zip and at the end. And you do not want those metal bits anywhere near your machine. So the bigger your zipper, the safer you are. And actually, the easier it is to put in. So I'm going to move my lining out the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the right side of the zipper to the right side of the bag. And I'm going to open it up, okay? And I've got plenty of room. This is a really long zipper, but you need to make sure you have a super amount extra on this end and the other end, just so you don't get those metal bits in touch with your machine. So there we are. Now remember, if you use an iron, you can fuse that and it will fuse even better. But it's good enough for what I want. And I just repeat, I put the right side of the zipper to the right side of the bag. And my teeth are here. Well, not my teeth, the zipper teeth are here. And the raw edge of the zipper and the raw edge of the bag are even. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is whoops, I pulled it off. If I ironed it, it would not do that. It's because I've got this great big long zipper. Right. So the next thing I'm going to do is put a bit more tape on the other side of the zipper, and that's because I'm going to attach the lining to it. So I managed to choose a zipper that's almost the same color as my desk. So I'm just running that along. Going to peel the paper off. Peel the paper off, and this time I'm going to put the lining on. And I'm going to put the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the zipper. Okay, so basically all that is Marion, you should be asleep. I know it's late in the UK. Right. So all I'm doing is sandwiching the zipper between the right side of the front of the bag and the lining. Okay. So this at this point, you'd think you'd just take it to the machine, but I just want to give you a really good tip because we're going to be using the cording foot, and sometimes it just all depends, but sometimes the cording foot, when you run the teeth in the groove, as we're going to do, sometimes it cuts the zipper. And I think that always throws people off. But the other problem to that is that I want to get this right up to the needles because that just makes life easier. It's a better feed. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting a big notch, and I'm cutting the notch in the zipper from where it joins the fabric along about 2 inches. And I do 2 inches because that's the foot is probably about 2 inches. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you over to the machine and then you can see. But before I do that, I have just got to find my cording foot. Here it is. Right. So just going to slide the camera along. It's a good job I've got long arms because I'm miles away from the machine. Right, so this is the cording foot. It's called the P5 cording foot for the baby locks. If you have the Benina, it's called the piping foot. Now that's very confusing, but it is the way it is. Okay, so just know that. I am set up for 3-thread overlock wide, and I'm putting my cording foot on, and you can see the cording foot has a groove on the underside of it. And that's what makes it so great for putting in zippers because the zipper teeth are going to run in the groove and that is going to keep them straight. So I'm just going to raise my needle, pull my threads off the stitch finger so I can get it up there. And then I'm going to put it all the way back to the beginning of the fabric. Okay, it just makes it easier. Got all those feed dogs working for me. Now it's all glued together because I used the steamer seam. And on this particular occasion, it's actually not cutting the zipper, but trust me, it can do that. And if you've used a zipper that has big teeth, you might need to use a narrower stitch. Okay, so just be aware of that. So the bigger the teeth, the more narrow the stitch. So there we have it. That's this end put in. And what I love about zippers, oh, you know something? I haven't got my lights on. I just realized. Let me just pop them on. What I love about putting zippers on in with the serger and the cording foot is they're always straight. Okay, so I've told you that. Now let's check my zipper and see if it's straight. So there it is, totally straight, same amount all the way through because it fed through the cording foot. So pretty perfect. So what you would do now, and I'm probably not going to do it because I'm demoing, but you would press that so that the teeth and nice and clear of the fabric. Okay, so what am I going to do next? Next, I am going to do the other side. And really, you're just doing the same thing. So we're going to have to close the zipper for this because we need to match it up on the other side. So, see what huge zipper I had. Easier with a bigger zipper. So that would be nice and flat. I've just finger pressed it. So what you're going to do next is you are going to put more of that tape on. And this time it's going on the right side of the zipper. And at the moment I have my zipper closed. And the only reason for that is I need to match up my sides. But you can't actually sew the zipper when I go to sew it. If I put both my teeth in, say not my teeth, if I put both sides of the zipper teeth into the groove, it's going to stitch too close to the zip. Okay, so just be aware of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up this side and I'm just going to put a pin in for a minute and then I'm going to undo my zipper. As I said, you can't sew it with it done up. I've matched it. I know where that side is. And I am just going to continue pressing down the right side of the bag to the right side of the zipper. Okay. So now I need to put some tape on the wrong side of the zipper, on the wrong side of the zipper, so that I can attach the lining. Take that pin out just in case I forget it's there. And as this keep telling you, if you actually iron this, diffuse it, it will give you a really good fuse. I'm not doing that. I'm just pushing it down. It's still giving me a good fuse, but it would be better if I ironed it. Peeling off the paper. And this time round, there I have my tape on the wrong side of the zipper. And what I need to do is I need to, sorry, I made that look difficult. I need to put the right side of the lining on that tape. And again, you've got the same process of the fact that the zipper is sandwiched between the right side of the purse and the right side of the lining. And that's how it's supposed to be. So I'm just going to push that down. Right, and I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to be sewing from this end so that I can feel my teeth in the groove. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another notch out because it's just going to make it easier to get this right up to the needles. And as I said, it's not happening with this zipper, but some zippers, when you go to sew, it's going to cut the zipper. And I think it's just easier to get it right up to the needle. And to do that, we have to cut into the zipper, otherwise it won't reach there, will it? So I'm raising my foot, going to pull on the stitch finger so I can get my teeth into the groove. Got my seam right at the beginning at the needles. And I'm just going to sew again. And people always worry about coming off, and actually, it's a good thing to show you. So when I'm coming off here, my foot's come off the end, but of course, my needle's about half an inch back, so I have to keep on coming. And then I'm just going to pull that zipper tape out the way so that I can stitch off. Right, so here it is. And what I'm going to do is I am going to turn it right side out. And what I would do at this point is do up my zipper and then go and press it. And you press it open so that there's no chance of the fabric getting caught in the zipper. But do you see how nice and straight and even it is? I I do love when I first put a zipper in with a serger, I thought, why would you do that? And now I prefer it because I can get it straighter. I'm not so good at doing it on the machine anymore. Sewing machine, that is. So what you would do is you would press that. And of course, you could have your zipper like that, but I always think when you have the zipper at the top of the bag, it gives you a kind of I don't like the finish on the ends. So what I always nearly always do with mine is I always bring them down, okay? So that the zipper's actually not on the very end of the bag, it's there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this wrong sides out and I'm just going to true up the edge because you can see I've got some extra fabric here. But one of the things I really need to do is to open the zipper halfway, otherwise it will never come open. And then I've got a really good tip for you. So, so here it is. I'm just eyeballing it, okay? And then what I'm going to do is put some pins in going that way. I'm going to have to match up this zipper here, and that's always a bit of a challenge because it nearly always moves as well when you go to sew it. So I have a really good tip for you, which I hope will help, and that is a blunt needle pin. And you can also see that I'm putting my pins in so that if I do decide to sew this, I'm not going to damage my knife. So they're horizontal to the edges, but I obviously need to true it up. But here's what I would do if I was at home, which I am, but I'm not going to leave the broadcast to go and do it. I would go to my sewing machine. Actually, let me true up the edges and then I'll tell you what I would advise. I have a mat just here, so I can do that. What I'm going to do is cut off my excess zipper. It's a nice straight edge. Same on this side. I've got my straight line running along the end here so that I I think it's straight. Now here's my big tip. If you go to your sewing machine, you know something, I'm going to redo that because I didn't do it very well. I can see the edge. And these make great gifts if you want to give credit cards or not credit cards, gift cards or something too. And you can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. So what I would do is I would absolutely go to my sewing machine and I would stitch this section here because it's just going to hold it in place. I would stitch less than a quarter of an inch, and that is going to secure that down. In fact, I am going to do it just because I know it makes sense. And I'm all for doing everything on the serger, but this is like basting. It's just going to hold those teeth together. So, of course, it would have been better if I pressed it, but that's okay. I can live with that. And in fact, I'm going to do the other side too. And what I do want to say is don't forget, this is one of those things where um, if you're not careful, you can pull your zipper pull right off because you've got nothing secure on the ends. I hope you can't hear that. That's my dog playing with Richard. And in fact, when I sewed it, I didn't do it as well as I wished, so I'm just re-sewing it. And people always worry about sewing over zippers. Now, there's different levels of plastic zipper. You've got the really big sports ones and the rest of it. Again, you're going to use a narrow stitch. But if you're using one of those, just hand crank the wheel very slowly. If you meet resistance, jiggle it about until you find a gap. Okay? But I think sewing it on the sewing machine will certainly help you. So I'm going to come back and show you what I've done. Right, so what I did was I just sewed less than a quarter of an inch in from the end over the zipper, and the same here. Okay, I didn't get it perfect this time, but that's okay. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew it on the serger. I'm going to change my foot back to my regular foot. Lift my foot, put the top of the purse right up to the needles and the edge here against the knife. And I'm just coming over the plastic zipper, and you can see I had absolutely no problem. This is a number 3 zipper. It's a dressmaking zipper. I don't need anything heavier than that in this little purse. And then this end, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, right up to the needles, right against the knife. And that's it done. And this is where you hope that you remembered to leave the zipper open. I did. I could have left it open a bit more though. There you go. Make sure my pins are out. And I'm just going to turn it right side out. I have one of those nice plastic tips that you can put into the corners to push them out, but I won't be decluttering that. That is a useful accessory. Tool, perhaps I should say. Right, so there you go. And of course, I would finish off my thread chains. You know me, I probably never will, but yes. But once I've given that a nice press, it's going to look super. So where's the one I made earlier, which I did actually press? There you go. So super quick, super fast, and I think you'd agree that the finish is nice. I do like the sewing machine stitches over the zipper. If you've got the opportunity to do that, I think it does look nicer. So there they are. So now I'm going to come back and see if we have any questions. So don't forget, I'm going to put the written instructions in the group because I know sometimes you just need to look at it again. It's one of those things where it's easy to get it the wrong way around. Did you say you used a 3 or 4 thread? I used a 3, but you could use a 4. I tried sewing over a plastic zipper and it broke my needle. If it was one of those big sports ones, remember to go slowly, perhaps just move the hand wheel towards you and make sure you actually do have a gap in it, okay? I'm unsure of which zipper to use for different projects. Well, I think you can use any zipper. If I'm going to use a big sports zipper, sometimes I'll take the teeth off in the seam area. I've done that. But I generally use a 3 or a 5, and I don't have too much problem. Okay, any questions? So yeah, it has a nice lining. It's all, can't see anything inside. In actual fact, the one I have in my purse, I did a little embroidery on, and I actually didn't. I just used the warm and natural because it was just for my purse, and it was nice and thin. I actually quite liked it. Do you ever top stitch by the zipper? You absolutely could. You absolutely could. And I just want to say again, if you're using some zippers look small, but actually the teeth are bigger than you think they're going to be. And I'm particularly thinking of those zippers that come on a roll. They tend to have bigger teeth. So remember, you may have to use a narrow stitch. Yeah, I mean this is in my stash. I use this zipper, and that's the other thing. Not only am I decluttering, I'm trying to use up my stash. But there's some very pretty zippers out there, and you could put all sorts of decorations on here. I just wanted to make this a quick project and show you how to do the zipper with the lining. So next week is going to be Thanksgiving week. So I think we'll probably miss next week. And I'll be back the week after because I'm home to Christmas. I got a few things going on apart from my decluttering. Um, so yes, I look forward to seeing you all again in a couple of weeks. Maybe cover edge with folded elastic. You could certainly do that. You could bind the edge. I'm just doing my storage bags have bound edges. Why not? Why not use the double fold bias binder? So anyway, I want to thank you all for coming in, or if you're watching the recording, thank you for coming in to watch. And I will see you in 2 weeks. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, great time with family. And have you ever used zippers on screen? Have you? I don't really. Have you ever used zippers on screen? I'm not sure what they are. Anyway, if you come back and type in, I will come back to you. But I hope you have a wonderful week, 2 weeks, great Thanksgiving, getting ready for all the holidays coming up. And thank you so much for coming in and joining me tonight. Good night.